You know that feeling when you spend an hour scrolling through your phone and afterwards you somehow feel both wired and empty? Or maybe you've been crushing it at the gym, counting all your macros and doing everything right, but still feeling like something's missing? Here's what I'm finding. All these modern day habits we think will make us happier, like social media, optimization, endless self improvement, instead of fulfilling us, they often leave us feeling more hollow than ever. Recently, I've been diving deep into the Bible as a guide for living and my own personal growth. And I kept noticing these three specific practices that show up again and again. What caught my attention wasn't just their simplicity, but how they seem to address the exact things we struggle with today. These are three practical rituals that I found genuinely transformative in my own life. They're practices that have been quietly working for centuries, and we might have overlooked them because we're currently chasing the latest life hacks and wellness trends. Whether you're religious or just curious about finding a more grounded way to live, I think you're going to find these three rituals quite interesting and easy to adapt into your own life. The first ritual I want to talk about is the concept of almsgiving. Now, that might sound like an old fashioned word, but it simply means intentional generosity, giving to those in need. These days, when we think about living, it's often wrapped up in social media posts, GoFundMe campaigns, or Instagram worthy volunteer moments. And don't get me wrong, these things can do real good, but there's something deeper we might be missing. If we look through the Bible, in Matthew 6, verses 3 to 4, Jesus gives us this insight about giving. When you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. This talks about generosity that is so natural and sincere, we don't even dwell on it, even in our minds. Consider how different this is from our own modern approach to charitable giving, where every donation and good deed often has us thinking about who we need to share the story with. What's fascinating as well is there's a bit of research that supports a notion of giving in secret or anonymously. A study in Science magazine found that anonymous giving activates different neural pathways than public giving, suggesting deeper satisfaction and more lasting positive effects. The researchers found that when we give without recognition, we engage parts of the brain associated with genuine reward and satisfaction rather than social validation. I'll put a link in the description to that paper. So, how can we fit more generosity into our lives? First, you need to know that it's not about the amount or volume you give. You don't need to give hundreds of thousands of dollars to be a generous person. In Mark 12, Jesus points out a widow who gave two small copper coins, saying that she gave more than all the wealthy donors because she gave from what little she had. The principle here isn't about the quantity, it's about the intention. In terms of today's practicality, it shouldn't seem too daunting to add more of it to your regular life. Friends, family, parents, kids, who close to you might need a hand or something that you can provide them with. You can also share your skills. Are you good with computers, making videos, writing? Maybe you can help people who don't have those capabilities. If you're in a position to share a bit of your wealth for those who are lacking it, then you can obviously go ahead and do your tithing or share it generously for those who need it. Giving your time is also something that anyone can do. Sometimes listening to someone who's struggling is more valuable than any type of financial gift. In Luke 6:48, we find another key to living generously. Give and it will be given to you. This isn't talking about a guaranteed return on your investment of generosity, but it describes how genuine generosity tends to create reciprocal relationships and build stronger communities. What I've noticed in my own life is that consistent, thoughtful generosity has some fascinating side effects. For example, when people see you're willing to give without anything in return, they're more likely to trust your judgment and seek your input. I see a lot of this happen in the workplace and the places that I've worked. But here's something to remember. Generosity should never leave you stretched thin or resentful. If you're feeling pressured to give beyond your means, whether that's money, time, or energy, you're missing the point. True generosity comes from a place of abundance, not obligation. Start small, be consistent, and most importantly, keep it genuine. You might be surprised at how this simple ritual can transform not just your relationships, but your entire perspective on what it means to live a fulfilling life. The second ritual is something that might be part of your life already or something you've never even done, which is prayer. This is a ritual that isn't purely about religion as much as it is about intentional reflection. In our world of notifications and endless distractions, when was the last time you just stopped? Not to check your phone, not to watch Netflix, just to be still and reflect. In Matthew 6:6, Jesus offers this interesting perspective on prayer. When you pray, go to your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. The emphasis here is on privacy and stillness, creating a dedicated space for reflection. It isn't about performance or following a script. It's about finding a quiet moment to be honest with yourself, and if you're spiritually inclined, with God. Regular contemplative practice, whether through prayer or meditation, can actually alter our brain structure, particularly in areas associated with attention and emotional regulation. Even 10 minutes of daily reflection can lead to measurable changes in how we handle stress and interact with others. In terms of what prayer looks like, we can look at the Bible and see how this works in practice. Jesus instructs us to recite the Lord's Prayer in Matthew 6, which reads as, "O Father in heaven, hallowed be your name, your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one." Translation and the fact it's 2,000 years old aside, we can see a bit of a structure of what prayer might look like. The Lord's Prayer begins with gratitude, acknowledges something larger than ourselves, expresses our needs, deals with relationships and forgiveness, and then sets intention for better choices. So this is a great example of a prayer we can recite throughout reflective time. There are obviously thousands of variations we can create ourselves. In terms of how to fit into our lives, I found it doesn't need to be a significant change if you're not following this type of thing already. Finding some downtime you already have, like the morning commute, daily walks, or even washing the dishes, are times I used to be more intentional in prayer, reflection, or meditation. A different way to go about it might be spending time journaling, taking notes, or committing a few minutes before you go to bed. To me, the key has been finding a calm space and time. Psalm 46:10 puts it this way, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness isn't passive either. It's active listening both to inner voice and divine guidance. It's creating space for insights that often get drowned out by the noise of modern day life. Something I learned as I'm doing more of this type of ritual is that if you find stillness and calm, your mind starts to wander, and that's normal. The key isn't to force your mind blank, it's to notice where it goes and gently bring it back to center, or where you want you to be thinking. Really though, there's no wrong way to do this. Whether you prefer structured prayer, free-form reflection, or something in between, the key is consistency. Start where you are and what feels natural to you. Even 5 minutes of intentional reflection can begin to shift your perspective and bring more peace to your daily life. We live in a world of constant consumption, not just food, but information, entertainment, social media, shopping. There's always something more to consume, and it's exhausting. And that's where a ritual like fasting can compete against the world of instant gratification. And before you think this is about diet culture or detoxing, let me share what the Bible reveals about this practice. In Matthew 6:16-18, Jesus addresses how to fast. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. But when you fast, put oil in your hand and wash your face, so it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting. Firstly, notice that Jesus doesn't say if you fast, but when you fast. He presents it as part of normal life, but like prayer and giving, it's meant to be personal rather than performative. He also describes how it should be something barely noticeable rather than a flamboyant show of your rituals. In Isaiah 58:6, we also get a deeper look at the purpose of fasting. Loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of your yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke. To translate this to modern day English, loose the chains of injustice. This isn't about skipping meals or giving up comfort. It's about identifying and breaking free from the things that have bound us. This might be addictive behaviors, harmful relationships, or systems that keep us trapped in negative patterns. Then untie the cords of the yoke. In ancient times, a yoke was used to control and direct animals. Today, we might be under the yoke of social media, career pressure, or others' expectations. True fasting helps us recognize and remove these burdens. But fasting is not just removing things and creating empty space. It's about redirecting our energy towards something better. When we fast from something that's taken too much control, we need to actively replace it with practices that bring life rather than drain it. Let me give you a personal example. I enjoy playing chess online, but I found myself getting increasingly frustrated, snapping at small things in the game or staying up too late for just one more match. My wife noticed the change in my mood and how it was affecting our evenings together. Now, I've decided to fast from online chess, but simply removing it isn't enough. That time and mental energy need to go somewhere meaningful. So instead of late night chess matches, I started reading more, talking to my family more, slowing down, and even going to bed at a more reasonable hour. For you, there might be other ways to approach fasting, replacing social media with scripture or journaling or reading. You switch TV with quality time with family, going for walks, even calling those people that you haven't been in touch with for a while. Instead of shopping for new stuff, you can review what you already own. The key is identifying both what needs to go and what should take its place, because our lives will fill empty spaces one way or another. Fasting gives us the opportunity to be intentional about what we let back in. For Christians, this means creating more space for God, letting Him and His Word fill the voids we create. For others, it might mean replacing draining habits with life-giving ones. Either way, the principle remains. Fasting isn't just about subtraction, it's also about addition. What relationships could be deeper? What practices could be life-giving? What values do you want to have more space for? The goal isn't deprivation, but transformation. We fast not just to empty, but to be filled with something better. These three rituals, generosity, prayer, and fasting, have transformed countless lives throughout history. And they continue to work today, not because they're trendy or new, but because they address fundamental human needs that haven't changed. If you found these rituals helpful, please go and share it with someone who also might find it useful. This channel is all about learning to understand and apply the Bible to our modern lives. Let me know in the comments which of these three rituals might resonate with you or which you already do or don't do. Remember though, these practices aren't about perfection, they're about progress. Start small, be consistent, and watch how these rituals can bring new life to your modern world. Thanks for watching.